Welcome to the Sunday night broadcast. Before I start, if you'd like to join the live broadcasts, there's a link below to sign up to Patreon. And what else? I have a 6-day meeting here in Spain in May. Hi, Claudia. Yeah, I also have a Wednesday night chat group, and also this month I'm doing a Skype session on Friday nights. If you want to join any of those things, just join up with the link below. So what happens is the appearance of the person looks for meaning. It looks for states. It looks for knowing. But what is happening is just absolute free fall. This is always just landing all at once. You could say it is one field of, well, that can't be said, can it? You could call it energy, but that's just really an analogy. You could call it aliveness. You could call it life. But here, this is without meaning for the person, because the appearance of the person is just this field of energy appearing as a person. So there is no person. It doesn't need to be found, because it already is. What you're looking for already is, and you that is looking is what is. It's looking for the experience or the knowing of no separation. But what is appearing as a person is already no separation. There is no separation. The experience of the person is that it sees objects and sees them as separate, because it sees itself as separate. Because it can only see in the appearance of separation, it is looking for meaning or knowledge in separation. But there is no, that just isn't there. There is not two. Hi, Paul. It measures knowledge or meaning or purpose by apparent states or experiences that appear to happen in the body. But there's nothing happening to anybody in the body. None of it is happening to anybody. This whole apparent life, this whole life is not happening to anybody. It is in itself, but without a self, without a separate self. There's no self here. It can only ever be what it is, and it is always what it is. So there's no one actually speaking here. This is life appearing as this. So there's no reason to listen to this, and there isn't actually anybody listening to this. There's no purpose or meaning in any of it. It's like an explosion of life happening constantly, but not in a timeline, not in the idea of time and space. There is no time and space. When the person looks for time, it can only think of time in a sequence of images and then lines them all up and says they happened in a timeline. Or it measures space as objects and says, well, there's space between them. I walked from the kitchen to the living room and therefore there is space. But was there a space left behind, or is there a measurement of objects? The me just simply isn't there. And when it's looked for, the only thing that can be found is the experience of, I am here. But when you look into that, is there anything there? Or is it absolutely empty? Yeah, but, says the me, I'm still here. Well, is it? Or is that just something that appears? And when you look into that appearance, is there anything there? It's completely empty. When you look into a chair, it's completely empty. When you look into the body, it's completely empty. And yet it is. And yet this is. And yet it can't be found. Because the finding, the appearance of finding, is this simultaneously. It's a frustration, isn't it? But you see, hi Anne. But the frustration is just happening. And that is frustrating too. It's impossible. It's hopeless. There's no hope here. There's no hope to find anything. Because nothing has ever actually moved. This has never moved. This never moves. It changes in shape and form. But it never actually progresses towards anything. This has never arrived. This is eternal, you could say. There's no outside to it. There's no inside to it. There's nothing here as something that can be found. In that way, it's completely empty. The person walks on a ground of its imagination, the imagination of its story, of its life, the imagination of time and space. That's what it walks upon. But there's really no ground there. It's not walking upon anything, and there's nobody walking. It's all just happening at once. It's amazing that this is happening at all. Because questions appear, and then appears a response. And then what perhaps can appear is that that whole experience of the person is undermined. And it's just clear that, oh, it isn't actually true. There's actually nothing there. There's actually nothing here. That everything I imagined to be my salvation, to be the thing that I've always wanted, is not actually here. Because the salvation is made up. It's dreamt up. And all the teachers and all the empty promises of salvation are revealed to be not true. And even though there's a body here speaking, there's nobody here speaking. And it seems as if this body got somewhere, that it lost something, but there's nobody here at all. There is nobody listening and there's nobody speaking. It's just the one field happening. And that's amazing. Hey. And it's a miracle how it's obvious. Yes. Oh, yeah. Because it's not obvious to anybody. It's still the same energy appearing as obviousness. It's so fast. It's so fast that it's not moving. I don't know what that means, by the way, but it feels like a good description. Yeah. Because the person lives in time, it's like it feels like this slow movement. But there's no movement here. As soon as there's any kind of like grasping or understanding or anything like that appearing to happen, which is an appearance, it's lost because it's just because the instantaneous kind of understanding is this. So there's nobody ever understanding anything. There's nobody knowing anything. Because that knowing doesn't belong to anybody. That sense of this being obvious doesn't belong to anybody. And anything I say is absolutely not understood. Because I'm not saying it. Yeah, even obvious. Is it too much, maybe? Well, no, it's a description. I mean, we're communicating in words, and communicating in words means description. But descriptions are not absolutes. There is no absolute description. Because a description is this. You see? It's so fast that it's not actually moving. I like that too.